What's up guys, Dan here, aka Dan. I'm going to give you a comparison between the iPad 2 and the Google Nexus 7. Now we're going to get straight into these things. We're going to compare a few specs between the two so we don't keep this video too long. So we're going to go straight into these. So the unlock feature obviously for the Nexus and the unlock feature for my iPad. Now I've already got this on the internet page, so I'm going to go to the internet page in this. Right, we're going to go straight into this internet section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Bloom Corp on here. So we're holding this one down and we're going. We're going to see which one buffers it first. I believe the Nexus 7 actually buffered Bloom Corp first. I did just load it on here briefly, so I would imagine it's got some residual memory, but it has done it much faster. If we do the pinch to zoom feature, it zooms in on things and zooms out pretty smoothly. Now we're going to compare that to that of the iPad 2. The pinch to zoom feature on the iPad 2 is a bit smoother than that of the Nexus 7. I don't know if it's because the Nexus 7 is obviously naturally going to have less RAM, because when you compare it to a large tablet, obviously it will be much faster in the large tablet. So without waffling, use the real button down on the bottom of the iPad 2, and we've got the capacitive ones down on the bottom of this. We're going to go through the swipe motion features here just to compare which one's smoother and which one's not. So obviously you can see on the Nexus it's pretty smooth, there's no lag there. You've got the funky jelly bean on here, which has its advantages and disadvantages. Equally on the iPad, I've had this longer, I've got more stuff on it, so that hasn't started to lag yet. We're going to move on to some features that the Nexus holds and some features that the iPad holds to compare them. The Nexus compiles all of its apps into the app section here, but equally it goes one beyond that, which I think is something admirable towards Jelly Bean. You can just keep swiping through. So basically like settings, shortcut, Twitter again. So these are all the widgets and these are all the apps. Whereas if you compare that to obviously the iPad, everyone knows how Apple tried to do theirs. You've got the apps, so you've got just scroll to the right and your apps are all there, and what you can do is you can stick them in little folders. I've got a languages folder, not that I use it because I can't speak many languages, it can be useless. I've got a social media folder that I haven't really named. We're going to go into the YouTube. So as you can see in the YouTube one for that of the iPad, it's brought up the desktop version for some reason. It doesn't normally bring up the desktop version, so it's going to make the comparison slightly harder. But that's kind of the look you're going with on this. When you bring up the mobile version on that of the Nexus, it brings up these ones here. So if we were to go to desktop, we'll just see how fast that actually does load. I've got fat fingers, so it's quite hard for me on such a small device, but it loads pretty quickly. It takes no longer to load really, whereas we normally find when you go from mobile to desktop there is some lagging period, which is pretty admirable from such a small and nifty device. Before people ask, the bands in my hands here, I go to lots of festivals, so that's why I've got the band in my hands. I just thought I might shout that out now, so if people watching future videos or past videos, you know what the bands are. A really neat feature I'm going to point out of the Nexus 7, we'll probably cover this in the OS tour as well, is the fact that Google have a lot of widgets of their own. So you've got Google Plus, Maps, Google Mail, YouTube, People, Currents, Talk, Earth, Gallery, Calendar, and then you've got Chrome next to it. Safari on iPad, Chrome on this, because Chrome on this isn't actually as fast and it is quite prone to crashing. The Nexus doesn't really have a rear camera, which is pretty disappointing. As you can see on the back, it's really just got the Nexus, Asus, you've got the microphone speaker, so we can't really compare the video quality or anything like that on them. Check out www.bloomcorp.com, we'll be putting an article up which links straight to this, so we'll be checking both YouTube and Bloom Corp at the same rate. We're having a good overhaul on Bloom Corp. It's just been delayed ever so slightly. Just want to say thanks again for watching, and this is Dan, aka Dan Munster from Bloom Corp, and I just want to peace out.